Kindle Paperwhite Reassembly. First, you will need to seat the motherboard in place. Make sure none of the flex cables are tucked below the board. All of the flex cables should be in the outward position when seating the board. Now, after you have the motherboard in place, you will need to seat the washers back on the board. The golden washer goes at the top left of the board. Then the silver washers will go one at the top right, one at the lower right, and one at the lower left side of the board. Now screw down the washers on the board. You'll need to use the silver colored screws on the motherboard. One of the small bronze colored screws will be used on the darker washer. Now reseat the metal board mount at the top left side of the board and use the remaining small bronze colored screw to secure it down. Next, you will need to reseat all of the flex cables and lock down the cable tensioners. The white flex cable at the bottom right will just need to be popped back in place. Now to reinsert the battery. Slide the top side of the battery in place first, and then press the bottom side securely to the motherboard. Now you'll need to screw back in the 3 silver Phillips screws holding down the battery. Now to put the entire assembly back in the back case. Slide the bottom side in place first, and then the top. To lock the assembly in tightly, after you have seated it into the back case, you'll need to slide it a little to the right. Now screw back in the 11 screws that go in the frame around the display. After all the screws are back in the frame, you will need to reseat the bezel back in place. The bezel is held on with adhesive, so just line it up and gently press it in place to secure it. After you've finished reassembling your Kindle, you can now turn it back on and make sure everything functions.